SAP, a quiet piece of software that runs almost every large business on Earth. Most people have never heard its name. Let me show you how it works, starting with a lemonade stand. Picture a young woman named Maria on her very first day at a big company. Fresh out of university, badge in hand, she thought she knew what an office would be like. She was wrong. All around her, people were talking, and Maria could not understand a word of it. Did you check the stock in before you raised that order in PP? The sales order in SD triggered a requirement, but finance in FI is asking about the cost center. To Maria, it might as well have been ancient Greek. Finally, she leaned over to her manager and whispered, "What language are they speaking?" And he smiled, because he had asked the very same thing on his first day. "They are speaking SAP," he said. "The language of business." Here is the strange part. You have never seen this language, yet it shapes your whole day. The coffee you bought, the phone in your pocket, the parcel on your doorstep, the medicine on the pharmacy shelf. Behind almost all of it runs a system like this one, quietly keeping the modern world in stock. So let us learn to speak it too. And the best place to start is not a corporation. It is a child's lemonade stand. To understand the biggest businesses on Earth, we begin with the smallest one imaginable. Meet Emma. Emma is 8 years old, and she runs a lemonade stand. At first it is just her, a pitcher, and a crate of lemons. And already, without knowing it, Emma is doing everything a giant company does. Watch. First, she buys lemons with a little money from her mother. Buying the things you need, and keeping track of what you have, that is called materials management. In SAP it is the module named Second, she squeezes those lemons into lemonade. Turning raw ingredients into a finished product, that is production planning, the module called PP. Third, she pours cups and sells them to the neighbors. Finding customers and getting the product to them, that is sales and distribution, the module named SD. And fourth, at the end of the day, she counts her coins. Tracking every bit of money that comes in and goes out, that is financial accounting, the module called FI. Buy, make, sell, count. Those 4 simple acts are the foundation of every business that has ever existed, from a sidewalk stand to a global corporation. Master those 4, and you have the skeleton of the whole thing. Businesses rarely stay simple. Watch what happens as Emma's little stand begins to grow. By the end of summer, everything has changed. Emma now has 3 friends helping her, 5 different flavors, and customers who call ahead to order. Suddenly, the 4 basics are not enough. Because now Emma is managing people. Who works which shift, who gets paid what, who is good at which job. Managing people is its own art, and in SAP it has its own module, Human Capital Management, called HCM. And Emma has a new question too. Which flavor actually makes the most money? Strawberry sells more cups, but the berries cost a fortune. Figuring out where your profit really comes from, that is controlling, the module called CO. And notice something else. Emma no longer buys from one grocer. She has many suppliers, for lemons, oranges, and berries, each with different prices and delivery days. So her simple buying grows up into full vendor management, and that still lives inside The business got more complex, and SAP grew right along with it, one module at a time. Now let us dream bigger. Imagine Emma decides to franchise her lemonade stands all over the world. Stands on every continent, each one making lemonade, means production planning across hundreds of plants at once. Supply chains stretch across oceans, so materials management becomes a global balancing act. Money arrives in dozens of currencies, under different tax laws and regulations, and financial accounting has to make sense of all of it in one clean picture. And thousands of franchise owners and workers, in dozens of languages, all need to be hired, paid, and trained, which is human capital management at world scale. It sounds impossibly complicated, and it is. But here is the beautiful part. It is still just buy, make, sell, count, plus a few helpers, only larger. SAP is simply the business brain that grew up alongside Emma, from a coin jar on the sidewalk to a global company, without ever changing what it fundamentally is. Now you can see why Marius' co-workers spoke in code. They were running Emma's grown-up business brain. Every good story has a cast of characters. In SAP, each character is a module, and each one has a job. So let us meet the main cast. Materials Management, buys the stuff and watches the stock. That is Emma getting her lemons. Production Planning, turns raw materials into finished goods. That is squeezing the lemonade. Sales and Distribution, wins the customer and ships the order. That is selling the cups. Financial Accounting, follows every coin. That is counting the money at the end of the day. Then the specialists. Controlling, works out where the profit really hides, which flavor pays best. HCM, Human Capital Management, looks after the people, hiring and paying Emma's helpers. Quality Management, makes sure every single cup tastes right. And Plant Maintenance, keeps the machines running, so the juicer never breaks down in the middle of a rush. 8 modules, 8 jobs. But here is the secret that makes SAP powerful. They are not 8 separate programs. They are one. Think of a great orchestra. Each module is one instrument. The strings, the brass, the drums, each plays a completely different part. On their own, they would just be noise. What turns them into music is that they all read from one shared score, and they all keep the same time. That shared score is the heart of SAP. Every module writes into and reads from the same central set of records. So when one plays a note, the others hear it instantly. Keep that picture in your mind, because now we are going to watch the whole orchestra play at once. This is the moment everything comes together. This is what the word ERP actually means. 3 months in, Maria thinks she is finally getting the hang of things. Then comes the Monday that changes everything. A saleswoman bursts in, half thrilled and half terrified, waving a printout. A huge customer has just ordered 1,000 premium widgets. And they need them all in 3 weeks. Maria's stomach drops. She has been learning the modules one at a time. Now she's about to watch every instrument in the orchestra start playing at once. So follow one order with me, step by step. It begins in sales. SD creates the order 1,000 units, due in 3 weeks. And the instant that order is saved, the system does something on its own. It checks the stock. Over in Materials Management, discovers a problem. There are only 200 widgets on the shelf. 800 are missing. So without anyone picking up a phone, asks production, can you make 800 more? In Production Planning, PP raises a production order and starts checking machines and materials and time. This is going to be tight. That production plan ripples straight into human resources. HCM sees the workload and flags it. We are going to need overtime and extra hands on the floor. And through every single one of these steps, finance is quietly keeping score. FI and CO calculate the costs and the profit in real time. Will this order actually make money? Yes. In fact, it could make the whole quarter. Maria watches it all unfold on the screens around her, information flowing between departments like water finding its path. And she says the thing that finally makes it click. It is like they are all talking to each other, without anyone making a single phone call. And that is exactly right. That cascade, one order automatically pulling sales, materials, production, people, and finance into step together, that is what the letters ERP mean. Enterprise Resource Planning. One system, running the whole business as a single living thing. So we have seen how it works. The last question is the one that matters most to you. Why should you care? Because SAP is not really about software. It is a way of thinking about how businesses actually work, and once you can see it, you see it everywhere. It runs factories that build cars and phones and medicine. It runs the shops where you buy them. It runs airlines, banks, hospitals, universities, and whole governments. Learn to speak this language, and you can walk into almost any industry, in almost any country, and understand how the place is run. That is a rare and valuable thing to carry with you. And remember where we started. With Maria terrified on her first day, unable to understand a single sentence. The people speaking in code around her were not smarter than she was. They had simply started earlier. Give it time, and Maria goes from the most confused person in the room to the one training the next nervous newcomer. Because every expert you have ever met was once a beginner, staring at a wall of letters, wondering what language everyone else was speaking. The only real difference is that they did not give up. And now, you have already taken your first step. You speak a little SAP. The full story, with Maria, Emma, and every module explained, lives in a free guide on GitHub at github.com/behanmairali/sap-all. If this made the language of business click for you, subscribe and join us for the next one. This has been Code Zen.